Hidden Object Guru here, joined by...
The UnabridgedGamer, who's really hoping the save file works this time.
Oh, yeah, we just had a bunch of drama trying to get the game to run. We are back for more Terminator Resistance, which I'm calling top 10 games of the year, maybe top 5. Just a beautiful experience in every way, shape, or form. Alright, so...
I've got the codes.
My question to you is...
Then let's get right to it.
Where have the subtitles gone? That's weird. I'm going to make sure the subtitles turn back on. Windowed full screen, on, far, epic, blah, 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 blah. Frame rate, unlimited. I think 60 will be fine by me. Thank you very much. So my question to you is... and this is going to be weird, because I've been mulling over... I'm writing the script for a video about this game, like a little video review. And I'm trying to figure out whether I can call it the best movie adaptation video game ever made. And the thing is that was keeping me from doing that is, well, what about Star Wars?
What about Star Wars?
Stolen security codes now.
Like,
Strike a key
and my
day.
question to you is,
And it's done. Like
and this is going to sound weird,
easy
right?
money.
That's it?
Oh,
With the
okay.
proper equipment,
Tell me if this is
it only
crazy, but
takes a moment.
doesn't it feel like
We can fight
Star Wars
Skynet with our
has
own
gone
weapons.
so, like, the
I
extended
believe that goes
universe
for that
has gone
infiltrator as
so
well.
far beyond
The first prototype just came out
The
a couple
movies.
of days ago. Imagine what
that
happens
whenever I
if
think
they
of what the
become
best Star Wars
mass-produced.
video games are,
We need to hurry before that happens.
They're
they are
essentially
so
That
far
infiltrator's
removed
been
from the
after us for
plot
more than
of the
just a couple
film
of days.
What do you
that they
mean?
feel like their own
It's been
thing.
following me for months.
Do you
But
see what
that
I'm saying?
simply can't be.
I
That
understand, and
prototype has
I
been
agree.
out
It's
for
part
mere
of why I
days.
liked the old
It's the
Legends
same
timeline, because
model
they
that destroyed
tried new
Pacific
things.
Division.
But
Because
I'm
you could have
connected
crazy
to
stuff like,
Skynet's
oh yeah,
mainframe, and
yeah,
I
you
can
can
see
play
their
as the bad guy, and
plans.
we totally won't
I'm
retcon
telling
it
you
out in
that
the
what
last
you're
few
saying is
minutes.
not
You can
possible.
actually just be the most awful person
Unless-
and become the Emperor's perfect pilot. That was
Yes.
one of the stunning
God.
things. Or you could become a Jedi Knight and then screw
will
up and
finish the
fall to the dark
TDE.
side. There was
Finish
all
what?
these possibilities that you'd never see in the
time
films because the films had to play
displacement
to a certain
For all
specific
intents
way.
and purposes, it's
Right.
a time machine.
A time machine?
Oh, good. He's finding
Yes,
out that he's
a
time machine.
You go in, you pick a date,
See,
you press a button, and just like that.
The
you'll be
whole
watching
game
your
you've been
younger
giving
self learning
hints,
to tie
getting
your
hints.
shoelaces.
Spoiler alert,
You know,
Elijah.
time travel.
You'll figure it out, I'm sure.
Skynet's
By
been
a
working on
mysterious
TDE
stranger who's
for a
been
while
helping you with
now.
your life.
I've been
Right?
monitoring its
Mhm.
progress,
And,
but
like-
it's
you
still not
mentioned,
ready.
yeah.
Yeah, 2 videos ago
So
I'm
how
like,
could they
okay,
send
it's you
anyone
from the
back if
future.
it's not ready.
They didn't, but they will.
And now he's learning about
Don't
time
you
machines.
see?
This is so great. So
In one
this is, and so
alternative
my point is,
future,
like, this
they
is
finished
so
TDE
closely
and
connected
sent
to the
the
movie,
Terminator back
right?
to our times.
Oh yeah,
It's
there's
so-
so
That
much
has to
going
be the
on.
one you
Right,
saw.
but it's directly connected
You
to the
couldn't have seen
plot
it
of the movie.
otherwise. It didn't
Because this is
exist
where
yet.
this is a
That would
game
explain
about
why they
them
suddenly
finding out
started
about
to
the
learn at such a
existence
geometric
of
rate. This is
time
big.
machines
This
and
is
infiltrators, like
really
T-800s with human
So
flesh.
if it's done,
right?
then what the fuck can we do now?
So my question
We
to
can
you
still
is,
fight for this
like,
future.
isn't
Our
that so close that I still
could
call
stop
it a
Skynet
direct
before they finish building
Terminator
time
tie-in,
displacement equipment and
in a
send
way
any more
that
Terminators back.
I'm
forwarding
Shadows of the
everything
Empire
I've
isn't
learned
connected to
Connor,
any of the Star
who
Wars
needs to
movies.
know. And you go report back to Baron.
To be fair,
Speaking of
Shadows of the
Baron,
Empire was supposed to be connected. It was supposed to be like that. It's just that the game
what happened between you and
is in a
Baron?
weird situation.
ago,
I do want to clarify that
Connor
because, like,
gave an order
did you
to
ever play the
infect
N64
Skynet
version or
with
just
a
the PC
virus.
version?
Just
To
the
do it,
PC.
we had to
Wait,
reboot a
just the
T800
N64
model
version.
I was trying to reprogram.
Hey, you got a completely different
I warned
presentation
them
of
that
the
I
plot
wasn't
than certain other
done,
people.
and
Because, like,
that
the
the Terminator
N64
was
version,
fully
they put a
functional,
lot of the
but
book
they didn't
in.
listen.
Whereas for some reason with the
So-
PC version, they did like maybe half of the story at most in weird CGI cutscenes.
Oh,
It's like they overestimated just how much they could potentially do with it.
As
And as a result,
it went
you have
online and sent our
you
coordinates
got some
to
problems. You got some problems there where you end up with lots of story missing. So it's like for that one, it's like it should have been like this dramatic connection,
Skynet.
but
not
I
only
mean,
that,
they
it
Star
attacked
Wars
and
is
killed Perry.
even when they've gone directly connecting into it, it's gotten super weird. Like there's the Phantom Menace game where whole additional events that never happened in the movie happen. Multiple expanded universe elements get introduced just basically because. And on top of all of that, it has moral choices. Like in The Phantom Menace, fun fact, you can legitimately slaughter a whole ton of Aragunga.
Okay.
Like, and the developers clearly realized too many people wanted to do this, because there's this whole thing where Qui-Gon's like, Obi-Wan, I can sense you don't think highly of these creatures, and it's like, you're right there. You definitely got that.
Maybe step in.
She'll send someone who
But sadly they are not able to sway a lot of players from what I understand. But like, there's even like Dishonored style quests. I mean, understand the level of writing there for branching narrative. There's a quest to reunite a mother and son, very much like Anakin and his mom, except either the kid or the mom can die by your hand or someone else's, and if you mess up and the kid's dead, the writing actually acknowledges this.
Wow.
There's voice lines there. It's like, even when they make a direct adaptation of a Star Wars movie, even when they had access more than anyone else did, it got so weird.
That's so crazy.
And I love it, but still, it's like, it's so weird.
Man. So, okay, but if we were to... So, let's say we take that out of the equation. We're not talking about Star Wars. What is... Oh, happy Thanksgiving, Stratchick. I just saw that in the chat. So, let's say we take that out of the equation. Let's not worry about the, frankly, giant amount of truly amazing Star Wars games, right? And set that aside. And I mean... If you can think of something else, tell me. But right now, all I can say is, I'm loving Terminator Resistance so much that I'm ready to say that it's like, what is better, this or Alien Isolation? For all-time great movie tie-in games. That is how good I think that this game is, and so I'm saying, do you have anything else that belongs on that list?
Okay, yes. If we're going for a list, because like, you ask me, I'm terrible when someone asks me for like, choose the definitive one.
No, obviously not definitive. I'm saying let's see what you think belongs on the list and see if there's anything that makes me think, well, maybe I'm being too impressed with this thing.
I'm going to start off the obvious one, and sadly one of the hardest ones to get, which is Alien Resurrection by Argonaut. Because, I mean,
that's a good game.
Alien Resurrection by Argonaut has better atmosphere, better lighting, better combat. It even has dismemberment, years of a whole extra console generation before Dead Space. All of these incredible things. The only thing it really doesn't do a great job of is explaining that it's set after the events of the original movie. That's the only thing that they really... At least I think that's what's happening. Like I said, they do a really terrible job with the storytelling. It's the one element that just leaves you going, so literally this was the last thing you were working on. The very last thing. You were designing this entire game. But everything else is just so good. It's amazing, and it's so pristinely primed. Like, there's actually an issue with because, like, you know, like with, say, Silent Hill 2, it's always had issues with all of its different ports and everything. The same thing happens with Resurrection. It is so specifically getting every ounce out of the PlayStation 1 that emulators and the PlayStation 3 actually have issues sometimes with loading certain things. There's apparently a door that certain playthroughs just won't open because the assets are just being strained too much if you do not have original hardware.
Whoa.
Which is just, that is how much Argonaut put in. Because, I mean, they're the people who made Star Fox and the SNES. You know that they know what they're doing, but, like, that is on a whole other level of, wow, you really thought about this.
Damn.
Plus,
that is impressive.
And I want to say here, it's one of the few reasons to own a PlayStation 1 mouse, because it has full mouse support, in which case it feels like a proper PC port. It was supposed to actually have a PC and I believe a Sega Saturn port, but
it's weird that they never did that. Like, it really is weird that they never did that.
I think it comes down to the fact that the game was already like 3 years behind when it was supposed to release.
Well, but the thing that bothers me is it's like, it was a mouse look shooter, right? It was it was a mouse look shooter for the PS1, but there's no mouse in it. And it's like, well, maybe put it on a platform where there's a mouse then. You know? Get a little more out of it, right?
Oh, yeah.
Open it up to new audiences. And it seems like that would have been a really good choice, and I don't know why they would have botched that so badly.
At this point, I think it's just down to licensing more than anything else. It's another one of the unfortunate Fox games where it's like Nulf in that, yes, technically someone owns the rights, but no one wants to actually figure out who owns
No one is going to spend $100,000 in lawyers it would take to figure out who owns the rights to this stuff. Because that's not that much of an exaggeration.
Oh, yeah, no, that's pretty close to what I would expect, and it's a shame, too, because it really is, I think, one of my... what got me interested in finally giving more licensed tie-in games a shot was playing that one, because, like, this should be far more terrible than it is. This, like, everyone on the internet will insist to me that, oh, every licensed tie-in game must be garbage, and it's like, this is working fine. This is working great, actually.
Yeah. See, that's impressive to me. Like, I love the idea of someone actually figuring that out and doing just a great job of it.
Mm-hmm.
And it so rarely happens. Like, it really does happen incredibly rarely. Right? That someone manages to figure that out completely. Like, to make a really great game in a place that, and I mean, maybe this is overselling the idea, but doesn't really deserve it. Do you see what I'm saying?
Oh, there's tons of games. But the thing is, and I do want to add this here, for those wondering, when it comes to licensed tie-ins, they are actually both hell and heaven for game developers, because while yes, you're working under insane crunch, you're expecting to get smashed to hell in terms of public reception.
Of course.
The thing is, you can try a lot of things that, from what I understand, you don't ever get to try otherwise. Like, I know one developer, the guy behind Robo Puzzle Smash, the guy behind that, he actually worked on the Berenstein Bears game for GBA, and
seriously,
that was one of his favorite things to work on. Apparently, we did an interview. It's on the channel, and it's like,
I've got to see this thing.
He just was so happy to actually work on it because he got to try all sorts of things, because no one really cares. It's very clear with a lot. I mean, everybody's always like, how do people approve these licensed tie-in games? And the answer is because most license holders just do not care. Like, because
they are a book company. They're a company that makes children's books. If the game sells 10,000 copies, that's literally all they care about.
Yeah, that is it. And you see that with so many other games, and it's like, that is as much a benefit as it might seem a hindrance, because yes, that means unfortunately you sometimes get games where they really deserved more time. See the first Amazing Spider-Man game, or pretty much anything Beanox got to do for Activision. But regardless, it can result in some very creative experiences, and in fact, sometimes the way a license plays out can have its own unique effects. Like, speaking of Amazing Spider-Man, if you don't mind me going on a detour here.
Please go on a detour.
Another one that I would absolutely recommend and put on the list without a single doubt, and everyone is always like, really, with me with this one, is Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Okay.
Because here's the thing. We're talking about Star Wars getting to go off on the deep end. Amazing Spider-Man, Beanox basically got to just do whatever the hell they wanted for the grand finale. Like, apparently, I don't know if it was because the plot kept changing, because I firmly believe it is. I truly, because of everything that we've heard about how Amazing Spider-Man 2 kept pivoting and changing because of Raimi, what's his name, and not Raimi as in Sam Raimi, but the other guy, and Amy Pascal, like, there's some stunning videos about it, and the thing is, it changed and pivoted so many times that I wouldn't be surprised if Kingpin was at one point going to appear in the movie, but then ended up in the game, because, like, whereas films can move really fast, games don't. You
have to commit very early to what the game should be.
So all this talk about how it's an original plot and everything, I firmly believe that it might actually be based on just, like, earlier ideas for the script that then got dropped, because not only would that make more sense, it would explain why they commit so hard to some of the characters, some of the villains and everything from the movie, but otherwise it goes completely on its own route, and it ends up being a story about Spider-Man dealing with mourning and loss and everything, and Carnage is the final boss, and not like Carnage with Venom. No, Venom's off because they were still planning on that as its own movie.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it is a really surreal experience playing the game, because, like, it is effectively an original game, but it's also a sequel to The Amazing Spider-Man 1, which was an epilogue to The Amazing Spider-Man 1, the movie.
Are we prepared?
It is both a sequel to so many things and yet nothing. And in the meantime, it is essentially Spider-Man PS4. Like, I'm not even kidding here. It's the point that I really think that a reason a lot of people were excited about Spider-Man PS4, and the same reason I wasn't excited, is for just how much of Amazing Spider-Man 2 is in Spider-Man PS4. It is almost shocking. Like, we're talking the placement of QTE events, and I'm not trying to accuse Insomniac of stealing or anything. My gosh, I'm glad that they used that, but it's like not nearly as shocking or exciting when it's, yeah, this already happened, and you people were giving it a 4 out of 10.
Wow.
I'm kind of, this is one of those I don't know what the games industry was thinking sort of situations, because it is just really good. The side activities and the crimes you interact with are dynamic, and to be quite frankly honest, they're more interesting than some of the ones that Insomniac provides. You've got encounters where you can choose to be completely stealthy, whereas Spider-Man PS4 seems to be really averse to stealth in general, but you can totally be very stealthy in Amazing Spider-Man 2 in all sorts of fun ways. You go into these Russian hideouts and you have to be undetected to claim a special suit of armor. And so much is the stealth valued that it's possible to actually slip past enemies. You can sometimes ghost past a few of them. You just need to get the few that are in your way out of your way, and I can't think of another Spider-Man game that does that.
Well, I mean, other than, the Spider-Man Noir.
Other than Spider-Man Noir, which I
Parts
fully
of the Spider-Man Noir parts of the Shattered Dimensions. And what was the first one called?
Shattered Dimensions was the first one.
Oh, first one. What was the second one called?
That was Edge of Time, and it
Edge
was
of Time,
fucking terrible.
Well, no, I know. I'm just trying to remember. For some reason, I thought Shattered Dimension didn't sound like a first game kind of name.
Oh, I know. I still kind of love, though, that just like with Shattered Dimensions, Into the Spider-Verse is also like, yes, we're just going to throw all the characters in now.
Yeah, we have so many, let's just put them all out there.
Really, everything about Amazing Spider-Man 2, I really love. I especially love that, in hindsight, that Stan Lee really got to be a character. Like, they didn't just get him in to say, oh, yeah, I really liked you two kids together. Instead, it's like, no, they have him touch upon what he wants Spider-Man to be and what inspired all that. It's like, this is like actually Stan Lee having a deep, meaningful conversation with his audience right now. But I mean,
he's contributing to the story of Spider-Man here in a really impressive way.
It makes me just care so much more about what's going on. So, like, I'm not going to say that Amazing Spider-Man 2 is flawless, but even the boss design is just really good because you've played bosses where it's not really using the weaknesses of your enemies against you. It's about waiting for animations to time out. Amazing Spider-Man 2 doesn't really do that. Like, it doesn't break ground in 1,000 ways into how it does handle certain things, but it still does come up with unique scenarios. Like, when you face Carnage, you can use sonic blasts and fire to damage him, just like you would the symbiote in the comics. That can substantially weaken his health, not just like do a token amount of damage, but be a real meaningful.
But actually cripple him. Yeah,
which you just don't.
That's fantastic. No, they so rarely commit to that kind of accuracy with the characters.
Like, that's why I say that one's there, because I think it might actually be like the truest Spider-Man simulator. And I'm an idiot. I forgot the most important part.
Yeah.
So we know Peter Parker's life sucks. Literally, it's called the Parker Luck. The thing is, Amazing Spider-Man 2 is also the only game to gamify that.
Really?
Yeah. Once again, to use the Spider-Man PS4 comparison, you have Silver Sable in Spider-Man PS4. They harass you constantly. Here's the thing, though. You take them out, and they're gone. In Amazing Spider-Man 2, there's a threat or menace meter, which sounds like it's just going to be a token, infamous-style morality system, but the thing is, it's not. Instead, it's a very mechanical metaphor for what Kingpin is doing by constantly distracting you. Every time that you are busy trying to keep everything from going crazy out there, you're not pursuing story missions. Kingpin can freely do what he wants. Whereas, when you are actually confronting him and stopping him, the meter builds up because you're not stopping crimes. And every crime you don't stop lowers your rating in the public eye, makes you be viewed more as a menace, less as valuable. What have you been doing for us? You know personally that you have been fighting a war against crime, but New York doesn't know, and New York doesn't care. It's New York. So as a result, you're constantly pulled, because if you do not keep your meter high, you will have stats go down a bit. You will have enemy patrols start to more thoroughly fill the city, and eventually, if you get to level 3, there are even unique web-swinging hindrances. You suddenly have new obstacles like energy gates. And
Wait, so people would have set them up around the city to stop Spider-Man?
Yes, the Kingpin's anti-crime task force will seriously start setting traps for you and everything. They'll send drones to hunt you down that will pursue you. And, like, each one of them is mechanically fun to deal with, but also it reveals just how bad things are getting. It's
That's
amazing.
fantastic.
Nobody
Oh,
ever
wait,
used-
we got a question for you. Do you have any thoughts on Little Nightmares?
I have not gotten the chance to play it. I have a copy staring at me right beside my copy of Dishonored Death of the Outsider that's also very angry with me.
I personally love Little Nightmares, but I've talked about it endlessly on the channel. But yes, no, I just thought it seemed like more people need to play this game. Like, definitely more people need to play Amazing Spider-Man 2. And it's only available on 360 and PS3, right?
No, that's the thing. It's available on... That's the
It
stunning
was on
thing.
next-generation consoles? Sorry,
Yeah,
current-generation consoles?
It was famous for getting a bit of a controversy, actually, because at one point it looked like it wasn't going to be on Xbox One, and then it was like, no, it is, and then it was like it was going to be digital only, and then it wasn't. It was a weird thing, but yeah, it's on PS3, 360, Wii U, and the thing is, I want to emphasize just how much I like Amazing Spider-Man. I got it on the 360 because that was the cheapest platform at the time, but
Yeah.
if you are curious to take me up on this, GameStop is currently having a Black Friday deal where it's buy one, get one free for 360, PS3, and Wii U.
Wow.
I intentionally have got it again on Wii U because Amazing Spider-Man 1 on Wii U is one of the best ports. Like, it actually moves every single HUD element down to the gamepad. You are just being
I love it when they do that.
It is a glorious feeling. Like, I'm not kidding here when I say I will play it again happily on there. Not just because it is a great game, but because that is the best way to play a Spider-Man game. You're just freely swinging through the air. And I know some people weren't happy about the first one simplifying swinging. Well, guess what? The second one has much deeper swinging, in my own humble opinion, deeper swinging, once again, than Spider-Man PS4.
Wow.
Like, in terms of storytelling and presentation, Insomniac has them beat. And there's a few things that they introduced to the combat, like the anti-grab grenade, that are unique. But, like, even some of the abilities in Spider-Man PS4 were already, and they had more narrative reason to exist. Like, you know how Shocker exists and is always a joke? Well, they have a really clever idea for that in Amazing Spider-Man 2. Not only do they also use him as a first boss, but you steal his gauntlets. You actually take them as upgrades, and then you just permanently have Sonic Shocks as an ability.
Like in Batman Arkham Origins.
Exactly. You just suddenly have this ability to just whip them out, and it becomes a really useful skill, especially when taking down, like, petty crimes, because you can knock everyone over and just web them up. You don't have to do any sort of brawling. You feel like Spider-Man. You're being clever, you're using your gadgets, and you're getting over with as quickly as possible, because you have got no time in the world, Peter Parker. It's just, there's so much awesome there, and since I know that it is available amongst the various titles, seriously, if you like anything that I'm describing here and you have a platform that can play it, check it out, please, because, like, it's the last game Beanox ever got to do that wasn't support duty.
Nice. Well, I think it's clear what his favorite Spider-Man game is. My favorite Spider-Man game is still Spider-Man 2 on the PS1, because, you know, Spider-Man 2 on the PS1. Although, I gotta say, I was actually really fond of that one where symbiotes were attacking. What's the one where symbiotes were attacking New York?
Shadows. Yeah, that one was
I actually really like Web of Shadows.
Yeah, I wish Treyarch had gotten the chance to refine some of the elements there more.
Do you mean finish the game?
Yes.
I think you mean finish the game.
Because, like, if they could have, and above all else, could they get a better voice actor? Because that's the one thing I will warn you of also about Amazing Spider-Man 2 is that, good gravy, does the voice actor really not impress, unfortunately. It's like,
yeah.
Was Josh Keaton not available? Couldn't you get him in for like a few days? He is genuinely the best Spider-Man.
Yeah.
You could have gotten him. It's not like they're doing a new season of Spectacular Spider-Man and he was busy.
Oh. So, let's look at other... Like, what are other movie tie-ins?
Sorry.
It's fine. Everyone enjoys 18 minutes of talking about Amazing Spider-Man 2. No one's objecting to that, but you never actually answered the question I asked.
Yes.
Let's keep moving.
Ask me the question again.
No, I need you to list off anything that is a movie tie-in.
Yes.
You came up with Alien Resurrection. Is there anything else worth thinking about?
The problem for me is I keep thinking of ones like that were actually meant to set up a movie that never happened. Like, believe it or not, the Death Junior games were originally supposed to be an animated film that Sony was going to make happen, but then only the games existed.
So, like, the movie Vin Diesel is in.
Yes, exactly. It's just sort of like that. Or,
Or Spy Hunter featuring The Rock.
Exactly. It's just there's all these weird ones, and this was definitely one of them where, wow, yeah, this did not go as planned.
So Death Junior was supposed to be an animated film. Huh.
Yeah,
I've never heard that. Weird.
And the brilliant thing is, and I will wrap up this tangent quickly, is I love that the guy who did the art, it ended up jump-starting his career. He now does independent comics. He did essentially this one series called Courtney Crumrin that I would describe as, what if C.S. Lewis, but incredibly gothic and also a little bit Lovecraftian? Like, someone gets dragged to hell in this all-ages movie. The token fat kid best friend gets eaten in the first issue of this all-ages comic.
Wow.
And it still tonally works. It is some impressive work, and I'm glad that he kicked off his event because he did the art for the game, or the concept art, and he did the art for the comics that tied into it. So as a result, he essentially got a jump start by Sony.
That sounds pretty super adorbs. Like, that sounds like a super adorbs concept, and I'm glad to hear that, like, even though his movie didn't get made, he managed to, like, get this huge career boost out of it. That's fantastic, and that kind of thing rarely happens.
Yeah, it is extremely surreal, and that's why I felt I needed to say something. It's like, you just don't ever hear about anything like that. It's always something dour or depressing. It's like, no, for once, it actually worked out. But
yeah, I mean, in the same way that Scud the Disposable Assassin never actually happened as a movie, but it turned into a wonderful career for those guys as writers and directors.
Now, I'm trying to think, what else would I really name as a big, notable tie-in?
Because it's like there's so few tie-in games that make a splash that either like do a great job of being a video game or do a great job of representing the movie.
Well, there's actually one that you, in part, helped introduce me to, for what it's worth. Captain America Super Soldier.
Yes, Captain America Super Soldier and the other one, Wolverine, X-Men Origins Wolverine, are both fantastic movies. What the hey?
How did you know we were coming?
It's me?
I know more than you think.
Yeah, they're still doing the tease where they like haven't revealed that it's me from the future yet. But it's nice that he's there. They're still keeping that tease going. Yeah, both of those are amazing amazing games, and it's the weird situation where X-Men Wolverine, which you still haven't been able to find, right?
I have a copy. It's
you have a copy.
Having time. It is angrily looking at me right next to Peter Jackson's King Kong, which Nelson wants me to play.
Oh, it's incredible.
And goodness me, I will not be forgiven if I do not mention that yes, the King Kong one, from everything I've seen, also looks like it definitely would be one worth keeping on the list. I just haven't personally gotten the chance to play it yet.
I mean, I personally love that game. And that is a thing, well, I'll say that's how good Terminator is. That, yes, I would say from a, how do I put this? From a cinematic standpoint, if you were trying to say, what is the absolute best game to recreate the world and feel of a film? Like, to actually take the film and put it in video game form? Probably it's Peter Jackson's King Kong. Because that is the movie, but better.
I mean, the direct interaction of everyone is a big deal. Plus, believe it or not, there is one tie-in game that no one realizes is a tie-in game.
What's that?
And it has existed. Understand, it has existed for so long that it recently got a revival via VR.
Okay.
The game of which I am talking about, of course, is Medal of Honor.
Oh, that was based on a movie?
That was Spielberg, Saving Private Ryan. He was
right. Steve, it was his. Yes, he also produced a video game to go with. I mean, it's not a direct tie-in. It's not Saving Private Ryan the game, but you are right that he was doing that World War II project, and that was the video game. While Saving Private Ryan was the movie, that was the video game. I totally forgot about that, but you're right. It's not a tie-in in the exact same way as much as it is two halves of a project that he was working on, but you're not wrong to describe it as belonging adjacent to that list. That being said, I would say, what the hell was that? I would say Medal of Honor is nowhere as near as good a video game as Terminator Resistance is. But you're right. For a PS1 first-person shooter, it's amazing. Like, it is. Yay! Take that, HK Ariel. Whoa!
And as a GBA game, the less said, the better.
But it's a pretty solid game, right? That first one, that first Medal of Honor. I never played Medal of Honor Underground, but that first Medal of Honor, like when the only great console first-person shooter was GoldenEye, it made a really good case for itself. Like, I would agree with that completely, and I would say, yeah, that's a special one that people should check out.
Sorry.
Go.
I was thinking about all the different options. I'm like, well, there is also, to speak of first-person shooters that definitely had some fantastic tie-in quality. I know not everyone agrees with me on this, but I really, really feel like 007 Legends was...
That's a really good game. No, it is. There's some parts in it that I hated, but overall I thought it was a really good game.
And it actually made me more curious to experience more Bond. Like, understand, before experiencing it, I'd seen the newer ones, and I'd seen like one or two of the older ones, and apparently most of the older ones that I saw, by complete chance, were some of the worst ones. Like...
Octopussy?
I don't believe that one, although odds are probably good. I know for certain that I've had many people tell me, oh gosh, you saw The Man with the Golden Gun? Because, like, Christopher Lee was, like, the only part of that movie that I could really get behind.
Man with Golden Gun is, he's a ton of fun in that.
Oh yeah, he is like the big saving grace. He is having a blast when it seems like some other people are just kind of scratching their heads. Also, the plane car, the airplane car was priceless.
Yes. How could you not love the airplane car? No, that's pretty badass. But yes, so you didn't have a love of classic James Bond, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you didn't have this like this emotional association where it's like, oh yeah, classic James Bond is the best.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't have that going into 007 Legends, so you had the ability to, for the first time ever, just kind of like, okay, I'm enjoying this just for the sake of enjoying it.
Oh yeah, in particular the Revenge one set in Mexico. That one, I'm thinking that was that License to Kill?
That is License to Kill. Yes.
That one immediately was like, I don't love that a woman gets fridged at the beginning, but besides that, oh my gosh, that villain has such a presence. Like, even when he's being redubbed and he's CGI on my computer screen, it's like, he is immediately catching my attention, where Blofeld is like, at this
Robert
point,
Davi's the best. Yeah.
It's just it's amazing how even this long afterwards, like they managed to find a way to make evil Fonzie be amazingly intimidating.
Oh god, I loved Robert Davi in that. I love him in the movie. I really like that he came back for the video game. They got a decent amount of people to come back from the for the video game. I was actually quite excited about that, because I'm pretty sure maybe I'm wrong here, doesn't Hugo Drax come back for
Drax I actually know, because I saw some of the clips online just because of curiosity, and it's like, yeah, that is him. make him look a little bit more, for some reason, like Peter Dinklage in the game. That's about the only difference.
But yeah, that's the actual actor, because it's not just his face. He's actually doing the voice, right?
Yeah, I think. Yeah, now I want to see more to see if everybody else, because like it's like, okay, this sounds even more awesome than, because I was like, if this is, you know, the stunt double equivalent of the voice, I want to know what the main one sounds like.
Yeah.
So it's like,
hey, apparently the voice, I did not see your comments working. Apparently the voice of Spider-Man in the 90s cartoon was the voice of Spider-Man 2099 in Edge of Time. I didn't know that.
Yes, and he was also Noir in Shattered Dimensions. That's the fun thing about Shattered Dimensions, is that essentially every voice actor was at one point Spider-Man. Even Neil Patrick Harris, that wasn't a stunt casting. He was, very briefly, one of the worst Spider-Men.
Yep, I remember that. Bad cartoon.
Yeah, that
it was not impressive.
It was
what game was I supposed to check out, Noor? Continue.
I do want to say it was really nice to see him come back, but also you can definitely tell that he was in there quickly, because apparently the DS version of Shattered Dimensions just straight up doesn't have him, and a lot of his actual like grunts and all of that in the combat, yeah, that's actually Josh Keaton's voice lines being used from Ultimate all over again. So like,
oh wow.
So he's, I genuinely think he might have had the briefest amount of touch with any of the vocal lines for the game by comparison to the rest of the cast, which, once again, not bashing or anything, it's like, it is kind of surreal to think of just how quickly he was in and out of that project, even though his voice dominates the majority of the cutscenes.
Oh yes, I did look up Roblox, Noor Gamer. Yes, it's not something I'll be playing, because, you know, it's not a game with a beginning, a middle, and end. But it did look badass. And now, the reveal.
Baron.
Dun, 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 dun.
He didn't do the reveal?
Still?
Where the hell are you?
Finding out it was him from the future? Damn it, dude. Come on. You from the future just got killed saving you from the past life, and you didn't find out?
Maybe he's just too beside himself?
Oh, God, that... You've just made everyone sad. So bravo! It's a rare person who can succeed in making everyone sad at once. Jesus. Oh my god. Consequences.
Where is everyone?
We've got a new mission. Everyone has been killed at the resistance shelter. And, that was gonna happen irregardless. But, you know, it's worse because of what happened here. Oh, the resistance shelter's been overrun. Oh no! They killed a puppy dog! You bastards. I so despise you.
Really, Teon knows what they're doing if they're going to make the Terminators kill a puppy, because that will set off the internet. Like, human beings?
Yeah, no, murder all the human beings you want, but you can't kill a... Oh god, the quartermaster is dead. I mean, kind of assume. Okay. Oh no! Damn it. Okay, in a nice touch, because the game's ending, I can now go into the quartermaster's hutch and just take all of his stuff, because, you know, there you go. Yes, E.T. the Extraterrestrial for the 2600, which is not a great game, but it's not as bad as its reputation suggests. I've played much worse games than E.T. the Extraterrestrial. It's just, the falling into holes got so frustrating so quickly.
And they just didn't have time to explain anything. Like, I remember hearing about the guy. The nice thing is, the guy who programmed it, he isn't actually ashamed to have worked on it. He's honestly a little bit proud to have become that big a piece of history. Because, like, he just was assigned a really crappy gig, and he was like, okay, I'm going to try to do the best I can.
And I love that the story is, it's like, Steven Spielberg saw your Indiana Jones game, and he really liked it, so he wants to make an E.T. game. Great, how long do I have? 3 weeks! You know that's not even enough time to draw up a design document for a game, right? Let alone make a whole game. And they're like, we don't care, it has to be in stores for Christmas! Yeah, it was... Okay, I know it wasn't 3 weeks, that's an exaggeration, but the time they gave him was ludicrous.
It was actually a substantially low amount of weeks. We're really not being hyperbolic here when saying it probably felt like 3 weeks for him.
Yeah, like it was an obscenely short amount of time.
It makes development cycle of The Force Unleashed and Knights of the Republic 2 look graceful by comparison.
Oh, no. Nor I didn't actually start up Roblox. I just saw that it was a list of people's what do you call it? I saw it was a list of, mini games that other people had made, and I'm like, neat, but I would have to really do a lot of research to find one that looked playable. I'm like, I have so much to play right now, I can't do that kind of research. If there's a specific game you think I should try, I may check that out, but I'm not gonna. I hate to say it, indie people, but I need you to come to me with your games. I'm not gonna search your games out. I don't have the time to do that.
I do want to also say, as someone who formerly played Roblox, while it can be neat, it is kind of one of those games that you more play because it's cheap. Like, really, that should be understood as, like, I can guarantee you, when I was a kid playing that game, it was like, okay, I can experience all of these things for free, and I can...
Oh, Horror King is agreeing with me that Spider-Man 2 for PlayStation 1 is the best Spider-Man game. So there you go. Yay! Happy Thanksgiving, Nor.
Oh, and yes, happy Thanksgiving to everyone. I keep forgetting to say that, sorry.
Damn.
An infiltrator got in.
I'm trying to think.
No!
What other good ones really worth mentioning? I feel like there's something else more. Oh yeah, Thor on DS.
Oh yeah, Thor on DS. You told me about that. I've never played it.
Yeah, there's apparently, like, Way Forward just basically got handed a bunch of Marvel DS games. So, like, they did a completely different version of Shattered Dimensions and Edge of Time that is apparently a Metroidvania. 2.5D or 2D, depending on which one it is, Metroidvania. And, it's fully voiced and everything, so it's treated like a proper full Way Forward game. It just happens to be exclusive to DS. So, like, also... definitely worth keeping in mind. Trying to think, but Thor was such a drastic difference. And supposedly there's also a different version on 3DS that I want to look into that is like, it is a 3D brawler, just like the main console version, but everything I've seen of gameplay footage looks 1,000 times better.
Wow.
Which is just surreal. I want to experience that at some point because... I don't know how that happens, but all right, you have my attention. I'm trying to think, but yeah, just in general, the Way Forward is really hard to mess up. The only Way Forward tie-in game that I think I've played that didn't actually click for me was the Batman Brave and the Bold one, and that was because it was made so much for kids that, like,
Yeah, it is very simplistic. There's not a ton of depth to it. Way Forward has done so many great Metroidvanias. To see them just do, this very simplistic brawler, I'm not going to say it's beneath them, but it's, like, just not what you go to Way Forward for.
Yeah, it really isn't, and it's a shame, too, because, like, it's Way Forward. They're really good at this.
They're incredible. Like, look at that Mummy game. I know it wasn't the biggest hit, but, like, by far... the best thing to come out of that Mummy movie was that Mummy video game, right?
Warrant's mentioning it too. It probably could go on the list because that is also a surreal thing. Can we agree that there's occasionally where you have a genuinely good tie-in game and it completely elevates what's going on with the movie?
Well, I think I may put together a video, and the point of the video is going to be video game tie-ins that were better than the movie. And it's not going to be a long list, but that's going to be the big, like, the big takeaway award-winning one is definitely the Mummy, the Mummy Demastered is going to be, like, the big #1 winner, because it is so much better than the movie it's based on. Right? And I'm trying to... Well, we'll talk about other entries for that list soon. But right now, because I'm trying to think, like, what is a... Oh my god, I now have the Terminator minigun. The machine gun that the Terminator brings to attack the base in Kyle Reese's flashback from Terminator. And it is brutal. It is just wasting everything. So, if you hadn't convinced all of your friends to leave, their dead bodies would be here in the place when you got back. So, that is not ideal. That's why it's so important to get them all to flee. Careful.
Flee with your lives.
Yeah. Okay, here we go. Spider-Man 2 lets you make your own Whoa! I love you flamethrower Terminators. Flamethrowers are such an inefficient weapon.
And yet they keep pushing them as a thing. Even in Star Wars recently, it's like, no, really, every generation of Star Wars had flame troopers. Okay, why?
Why,
Great
though?
question.
You know that in Star Wars style combat, people almost never get within like 20 meters of each other, right? That's just not a thing that happens. They are shooting each other from quite far away. There's not a lot of trench warfare in Star Wars. Well, not a huge amount. There has been trench wars, but, you know, it's not a big part of the combat. It's like, no! There's death troopers! Oh, crap. Oh, crap. The T-850's back. Oh, I hate this guy. He's got his own minigun. So, yeah. Like, there's the Mummy game. There's that. Like, I'm just trying to think of, like, really... I mean, I know it sounds like I'm overselling this game, but this is just a legitimately great first-person shooter. And my question to you is, like, does the fact that the tech isn't up there and the visuals aren't up there with, say, for example, what's a great, like, trying to think, like, what's the best, okay, a Wolfenstein game, right?
Yeah,
like, if I start to criticize its visuals, aren't I just criticizing a game for not having a big budget? Because in my experience, a game's visuals are 100%, or at least 99%, a factor of its budget.
It really does just simply come down to budget and time for animations, for everything. And that actually even came up when I was in the chat for one of the streams, because I think it was Horror King who was commenting on the faces, and it's like, that's because...
Oh, Alvin got killed.
Animating a face, just, that is...
It's huge amount of work.
I mean, the main reason that Naughty Dog was originally celebrated for Uncharted 1 was because they figured out how to dynamically animate Nathan Drake climbing around, because at the time, everybody had to keyframe it, and that just genuinely wouldn't have been in any way feasible for them.
So what, they figured out a way to make him react to the environment?
That was one of their big things for them, and one of the few times we'll actually give the earlier Uncharted games credit is that, like, at the time, dynamic animations were a really unheard of thing. Like, at the time, I think the only other game trying to do that in any way succeeded was The Force Unleashed. A lot of other ones.
Force Unleashed and of course that failed Indiana Jones game.
Yeah.
It never ended up happening.
It actually did, but
well, no, in a very different form.
Yeah. It was like, oh yeah, it's for Wii, DS, and PSP. None of the platforms we announced it for.
And we cut out all of the high-end tech that made it so impressive. Yeah. It was pretty sad. Don't you dare. Apparently I can't hit him at this range. Okay, that's a little sad. Well, all of my friends got killed. Well, no, all of my friends survived, but all of the other people working at the Resistance Shelter got killed. So that sucks. All right, so we're going to wrap up the video on Terminator here. I hope you've been enjoying Terminator. As I said, not only do I think it's one of the best games of the year, it's one of the, I'm comfortable saying... Oh, hey, let's watch this. How is that skeleton staying together? There are no tendons left.
He came from the future to save my life.
He's you. He's you. Like, he came from the future to save your life. Because he's you.
There's so many bone-related puns that I'm just going
oh my god,
refrain from making right now.
Yeah.
I assure everyone, I am not that mean.
Take part in the last fallout attack.
You're a terrible person, but I'm in favor of it. Okay. Let's see. God, this is such a good game. Anyway, like I said, I hope you've been enjoying Terminator. I know I have been. We'll be back here in the next video to wrap up the game, because this has got to be the final mission. So, for now, I've been the Hidden Object Guru. Thanks for coming on this journey with me. If you had a good time and you'd like to see more, there's buttons for that coming up. Unabridged, what should people be checking out?
You can find me at The Escapist as Second Look. It's my regular column where I talk about all sorts of weird games like the ones we're discussing tonight. And also on UnabridgedGamer, where I do that too, and...
Other stuff as well?
yes, I just talk about all sorts of really, really odd games, and currently we are doing Clash of the Tie-ins, which is precisely why this was just the perfect discussion point, and why I'm just so happy to see tie-ins like Terminator existing in, because, like, yeah, it's essentially a Wolfenstein game with a lower art budget. That's all it is, and, like, that's fantastic, and Narcos apparently did well, too. It's just, I'm really happy, and that is also a thing I will say is, I try to keep my content constructive because we have enough people being angry on the internet.
It's an issue. So we'll see you back here in the next item playlist for the grand finale of Terminator. But until then, we're going to say au revoir.